This was meant to be a video about dry stone walling. It is actually a video about two nerds piling up some rocks. And I say two nerds because I was joined by a friend for this stop of the road trip in rural Oxfordshire at the Dry Stone Academy. I met two people. First, Dave, who runs the academy. I'm doing okay, yourself? And second, taking a brief stop away from her work as an astrophysicist at nearby Oxford University, Dr. Becky, who also runs a YouTube channel about space.
Good to see you. How are you doing?
We had a competition. Which one of us was going to be better at building a traditional English dry stone wall? Walls like these are all over the country, in Yorkshire, in Cumbria, the Cotswolds, Cornwall. Even if you've never paid attention to them, you probably know what they look like. So I set up some cameras, Dave got to work teaching us the basics, and I'm now going to try and cut down a half hour of training into just a couple of minutes for you.
This is a fairly traditional sort of dry stone wall in so much as it's got two what they call skins, so two sides to it. It doesn't matter whichever stone that we're putting down, so whether it's the first one, the second one, or, you know, up here somewhere, every single stone that you place, the first thing that you have to do is stop it from moving.
Dry stone wall means a wall that is made of just stone, nothing else. It has to stand for, well, possibly centuries, no matter what people or the weather do to it, using nothing but roughly shaped rocks.
Despite what some people might think out there, that we don't put any mortar in it, so there isn't any other glues or stabilising things.
That's the name, dry stone walling.
Dry stone walling.
It's just dry stone. Dave had 5 basic principles of building a dry stone wall. Number 1, lock every big stone in place with at least one small stone, called a pin.
Some people, depending on where you are in the country, might call it a wedge. It really doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it what you like.
A shim, if you're a DIYer, I guess, as well.
Yes, yeah. Call it what you like, but I call it a pin. So, okay, pinning. So we're not going to put it in the side, we're not going to put it in the front, we're going to put it in the appropriate place.
Just to be clear on that, because it went very fast, the pin must not be visible from the outside of the wall, and it must not be sticking out towards where you might need to put another big stone. That got drilled into us a few times.
So when you're placing your stone, you'll feel with your fingers. Dry stone walling is a human endeavour. I don't know if they've created an AI that can do it yet. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But it's a human endeavour. So we're feeling things, and we're putting the bit of stone in the place that we can feel with our hands. Okay, so it's not the same every time.
You put down a stone, whether that's on the ground or on top of another stone, and you pin every one of them. If it moves even slightly, then you either need to move the pin or you need another pin. It should be, well, rock solid. Principle number 2, packing.
If I can ask you to imagine that all these stones up here haven't been built yet. And what we've done is we've placed these stones and pinned them, and these ones along that side. So if you can imagine, you can see this river of space. Contrary to what people have said to me a million times, oh, it's a jigsaw, isn't it? It isn't. It's the opposite of a jigsaw. Because a jigsaw, every piece has only one space that it can fit. This is completely the opposite. Anything can go wherever you want it to go.
You build the 2 sides of the wall, and then you pack down the middle with smaller stones. You lock everything in with bulk and mass.
Packing, okay? Or some people call it hearting. Call it what you like.
You're putting the heart of the wall in.
Exactly.
Yep.
So what we're doing is we're going to put other stones into that space. So can you see in your mind's eye that meandering river of space? So what are we doing? We're swapping the space for stone. We're not hammering the stone in. We're putting as much stone in the space, filling the space, swapping the space for stone as we can. Because the second enemy of a dry stone wall is space. So the first one was movement, and the second one is space.
Rule number 3, connect everything. If you've ever built with Lego, then you know this already. You don't want the vertical joints to ever line up, because that's a weak point. The more friction there is, the better.
So when I'm thinking about creating this structure, I'm thinking about weaving the structure, knitting the structure.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah? Because I'm not, building to me is blocky, isn't it? It's, But that will take me down a road I don't want to go.
Some of the stones should be through stones that connect both sides. Some stones should be runners, linking longer distances laterally within the wall. You want gravity to help you to keep everything locked together with friction, not to risk tipping the wall over. Everything needs to be connected. If you've just built two sides with random rocks and put some stuff in the middle...
So whether gravity is your friend or your foe depends on how you've built it. I'd put it to you that if you've done your train tracks and just stacked the stones up there, gravity's your enemy, because it's going to exacerbate your problem. There's nothing connecting the two sides, and so gravity, that pull, will help to force...
A little bit of lateral force.
Right.
Centre of mass is going to move outside, whole thing's going to tumble down.
Correct, and it does, and it will.
Rule number 4 of 5. The sides of the wall are not vertical.
It's angled in. Now, for some reason that somebody will tell me one day, that's called a batter, that angle. There's a distance, quite a considerable distance between the top and vertical. So if that's vertical, this structure can move quite considerably before it even gets to vertical, never mind a tipping point.
That's one of the reasons that these walls are so stable. The Great Pyramids have survived so long, partly because they use the most stable shape, roughly the same one you get if you just dropped a pile of rocks in a place. Keep the centre of mass low, it'll hold together. The last rule was about finishing the wall. Becky and I would not have to worry about that. We got nowhere close to finishing a wall. But for completeness...
The most traditional, and in my view, the simplest and equally the best, is to just plonk, technical term, plonk big stones on top so that they, like this one, this stone is touching that stone and that stone. So it is effectively a through stone. Our old friend friction will step in and hold the whole thing together.
So how are they not all tipping over? Is there just one stable one at the end there?
There's just one with a fat bottom at the end.
Okay, sure.
With that, we put on work gloves and headed over to the A-frames, 2 wooden constructions connected by string on the ground. That string helps keep the wall straight, but also it helps with that angle, the batter.
Say, for the sake of argument, you've now done a row of stones and you've pinned it and you packed it and it's all nice and neat, as we discussed earlier on. And you say to yourself, right, okay, I now want to move upwards and I want to build on top of that row of stones. You'll go to the ends and you'll move that string up a little bit. And as you move that string up, guess what? It moves in. That's your template. And so provided you use the strings correctly, it will provide the batter for you. So
Right.
as you're building up, all you're actually doing is you want to be putting your stone as close as you can to the string, but not touching the string.
Okay.
All right. So you can start in your own sections.
Yep.
You've got all the instructions. You know exactly how to build a dry stone wall. So I'm
I've got
expecting
so many questions. Do I pin the foundation? Do I just
Pin
plumb
every
it down and
stone.
schmuck
Pin
it
every
in?
stone.
let's keep it simple. Pin every stone.
Okay.
Pin every stone.
And our supplies for pinning are there and
So
there.
you have
Okay.
buckets.
Oh, we've got buckets.
You've got buckets. You've got a load of packing and
Yep.
pins. Packing and pins. There is stone all over the place.
Yep.
Now, so everything now has been very prescriptive. I've
Yep.
gone through in detail.
There are no rules.
There is the laws of
There are
physics.
more like
There are
guidelines.
the laws of physics. So I'm going to let you make a start.
All right.
Okay.
We had until the camera batteries ran out to build something. Dry stone walling is slow and careful, and if you build fast, you'll probably end up with a wall that falls down.
I think the obvious question is, how do you end up being a teacher of dry stone walling?
That's not my obvious question.
Okay, you ask yours in a bit. I'll go for how you ended up running a dry stone walling academy.
Well, I got to a point. I had a 35-year career doing things not related in any way, shape or form to dry stone walling. Just felt that I wanted to do something very different. And I didn't really know what to do. I sort of looked at the things that I like doing. I love walking, love the Lake District, love mountains. Everybody loves a dry stone wall, don't they?
Oh, especially in the Lake District.
Especially in the Lake District.
Oh, there's the Lancashire coming in.
Oh, yeah.
And so it just kind of dawned on me that, you know what, I'm going to be a dry stone waller. So I ended up paying a dry stone waller to teach me.
Oh, right.
I just didn't really know how else to do it. So that's what I did. And so I learned, and then I started building walls myself. And then I had this memory of how difficult I found it getting involved in dry stone walling. And I thought, you know what? Maybe people would like to come on a course.
Yeah.
And that was as simple as that. 7 years or so down the line, we're up to nearly 700 people through the course.
Wow.
What is that, Tom, that you've just done there? Is that a pin in the side? Did we mention something about putting pins in the side?
I thought we were putting pins in that side.
Not in, well, how are you going to put your stone next to that one?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Am I sounding like a school teacher? I hope I'm not sounding
No,
like a school teacher.
I just forgotten that. These three are all blocking the next stone, aren't they?
I don't know how I forgot that. He said it 3 times. You can't pin a stone that way because then you can't put another stone right next to it. I could, however, tuck them underneath on the first layer, which I'm not sure was valid, but I got away with it.
Oh, there's a fossil in this one.
Oh, nice.
It's like a little shell.
Hey!
You see it?
Oh yeah. I mean, show it to that camera. That'll focus. But
We do need a freeze, zoom, and enhance on there, but yes, fossil.
If you gain a lot of satisfaction from making a table or a chair when you sit down at a restaurant not wobbly, like folding a load of beer mats and putting it under the leg of the table,
yeah, I do.
then you'll really enjoy dry stone walling.
Okay, so that's rocking that way. So I need to pin there and possibly there as well. All right.
Sometimes you put pins in, and then where it wasn't wobbly before, it now is wobbly.
So yeah, the thing about pins is they're not designed to hoik the stone up.
No.
Yeah. You're
Just
remember
filling the
what you're
gap.
doing. You're filling little gaps to stop it from moving.
And it's easier on the ground where you can move a bit of the soil out of the way. But as
Yes.
soon as I start adding a second layer,
Well, you've
wobbly.
got that to look forward to.
Don't
of
like
course.
this stone. I'm going to flip it.
I find dry stone walling a little bit of a leg out of bed, a little bit peculiar.
A leg out
A leg out
A
of
leg
bed.
out of bed.
As in
Didn't
like-
I
I heard that one.
As in like when you're too hot and you put a leg out of the duvet.
No, you
one
know,
over.
you guys are too young. You're too young. You don't know all these old sayings. A leg out of bed.
There's
Have
no
you
way
ever
you're
heard
that much older than me.
I've got a son your age.
Congratulations. You're aging better than I am.
It's a difficult age, isn't it?
No, yeah,
Hey!
it is a difficult age. Yeah. Yeah, it's that age where you start to think you know everything, but 10 years later you realise you knew absolutely did.
That's been my entire life. That's been my entire life.
Yeah.
In my defence, I can't find any evidence of that idiom anywhere. But there are plenty of old-fashioned and local English phrases that never made it to the internet. Anyway, what Dave meant was dry stone walling doesn't really fit into one category. Is it a trade, an art, a craft, or all three?
Anyone who comes on our courses would be quite understandably coming to the course with the idea that the dry stone walling is a trade.
Yeah.
You know, like any other trade.
Yeah,
you know,
any other building or...
Correct.
Oh, I think it's more of like an art form than anything.
well,
Especially seeing like a lot of the dry stone walls and the lakes and stuff. They are art.
That's right.
Each region of England that has dry stone walls has a slightly different style. Other parts of the UK, Europe, the world, all have their own variants too. I fully expect that there are going to be other dry stone wallers watching this video and going, oh, you forgot about this, or oh, you don't do it that way. There are different schools of dry stone walling, so don't take my word for this.
What do I do with this? Is this in a bad place?
What's wrong with it?
It's flat as anything, but there's no pin in there at all.
Well,
I can't find a space to put a pin in
you
there.
can't find a space for a
I
pin.
can't find a space for a pin.
Okay. So, well, I would use because I like to stand up and say that every single stone
Yeah.
I've ever laid, and I do, and hand
Yep.
on heart,
Yep.
I have always pinned.
Yep.
I would use that.
Right.
Now you might say, "Oh, you're just doing that for effect."
Yep.
I'm not.
Okay.
Because what's more important to me is the habit.
Right.
It's the habit. So absolutely drilled in habit. Becky's trying to do through stones here, isn't she? She's trying to get extra points by doing through stones. But I'll show her in a minute why that's actually working against her.
I didn't think they were long enough, but I thought, I'll put them down and see what happens. You learn by trying.
You do learn by trying. You absolutely do learn by trying.
I was somewhat copying the homework there, and then realised, no, hold on, that doesn't actually
It doesn't. No,
doesn't
absolutely
work.
That you haven't got enough space on either end of that to put another stone in.
So is it better for me to yank it that way and then put a stone there?
No, you're cooking on gas.
This void in the middle, do I need to find stones to fill that now?
Yeah.
Right, okay, that's the next.
That what you're trying to do there is probably a non-starter.
Yeah, I'm realising
Because
it's too wobbly. I can't fit something.
It's just not long enough.
Right.
It's not long enough to go right through as a through stone.
Okay.
And it's too long to enable you to
do anything there.
So
Something like this where...
yes.
Yeah, it's solid on there, solid on there.
Got it.
And it's bridging, but I need to fill that gap.
Yes.
Okay.
All gaps, yes.
All gaps.
Absolutely. So that needs to be packed.
And is that just like... do I need to find one that's the right shape, or do I just keep...
Variety.
Right.
Variety is the
Filling-
key. But this is coming on okay, absolutely fine.
I heard that correction.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a good example. What we want to be a bit careful of, despite the really good attempts you're going to do that, if we continue to do that,
There's not enough. There's too much space. Yeah.
we could end up going down the train tracks route.
Okay, so I'll save this for another layer then, and
The
I'll
other
find
thing-
a longer one. that I
Yeah,
can
the
put
other thing
somewhere new.
before you start moving up is make sure you've packed the work you've already done.
Yeah.
It's desperately keen. Everyone is desperately keen to get on, and I totally understand that. But that's the discipline of dry stone walling. Is
I
that
did pack under there. I just haven't fixed it.
is that it takes time to pack. In fact, one of the things that I think most people are surprised about is I didn't realise I had to spend all this time packing. It's a bit dull. But
Well, I said earlier, my brain is not fitted out for, I have to do this with patience and time and rehearsal.
Can I use this cool quartz piece that I found before?
yeah, absolutely. No, it is a.
This one's got a really cool bit of quartz running through. I don't know if I can even hold that up to the camera to show people. The really cool bit of quartz.
The good news is, though, that once you get in the right brain space, the right head space, it's incredibly therapeutic.
Just really meditative.
There's a thing called flow state.
Called what, Tom?
Flow state.
Flow state.
And you get it in a lot of things. You get it in, for me, programming, coding, anything like that, but all sorts of artistic work, thinking work, anything like that, but also physical stuff like this,
Yeah.
where the rest of the brain kind of just goes and floats away.
That's it.
For
Yeah,
something like this,
yeah.
where it's still like...
Spider. Sorry.
And then something breaks your flow state,
Yeah, that's
and you're
right.
completely out of it.
You're kidding me.
Spider.
Oh, it's the tiniest little spider on the planet.
Still a spider, and it was still on my fingers for a second. Put that rock down. Sorry.
No, but
Spider,
is that what they call it? Flow state?
Flow
is it?
state, it's what I've heard it.
You'll get that from this. You can do a full 8-hour day, and if you're in the right zone, it can just fly by. Have you noticed any difference putting stones on stones as opposed to putting stones on the floor?
There's much less give, which is an obvious
Yeah.
thing to say. Like the soil will move around a bit.
Yes.
But if your lower stones are moving around, you've got a big problem.
Right, you have. You absolutely have.
It's good, but it's not pinned yet.
So my obvious question from before.
Yeah.
My obvious question is, what stone is this?
So this is limestone.
Limestone.
Nah, that doesn't work.
What I love about dry stone walls is that they're oddly nostalgic to me in a sense, because I mean, I grew up in Lancashire on the edge of the Lake District, and even at sort of 8 years old, like I would notice the difference between the dry stone walls near home versus in the Lake District.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're so iconic up there with the slates and with how they're built with such thin
Yeah,
slate
that's
rocks
right.
and everything. That, even now, if I see a picture or something, it can really transport you like up there just from
totally.
a dry stone wall. It's one of the most iconic features to me of the Lake District.
Well, it's part of the tapestry of large swathes of the country, isn't it? Can you imagine what it would be like without them?
It is a very British thing.
If you think back to when a lot of these walls were originally built, people didn't move
no.
very much.
No.
So if you were a dry stone waller, you're not going to use a trailer to start lugging stone 10, 15, 20 miles down the road. You're going to be working in your vicinity.
So your style is going to be your region's
regional
style.
where you are. You'd only have to drive, a handful of miles to see completely different styles.
Yeah.
Yours is looking a lot neater than mine is, I'll tell you that.
Hey, dry stone walls don't get points for neatness, you know. Dry stone walls get points for sturdiness.
Well,
Yeah, but
Not
there's a
neatness.
certain regularity to that.
yeah, there's the two.
But maybe mine's too regular.
Oh, that's solid. There we
Oh,
go.
nice one.
That's been jiggling for ages. I could not find a way to lock it in.
Determination. How are you finding the process then? Is it enjoyable
In there.
or frustrating?
It's my brain's treating it like a complicated 3D logic puzzle, which I guess
Okay.
it is, but it's not one with a correct answer. It's
Right.
one with an endless number of
I know,
possible
I
solutions,
know. And that
some
could-
of which are
yeah.
better than others.
Yeah, that's a
Which
good.
kind of sounds like science to me.
I was going to say it sounds like life.
No,
So-
life, but yeah, it sounds like, you know, you have, especially with astrophysics, where, you know, people say, is it almost a real science because you don't have an experiment that you can repeat that's testable and repeatable? And it's one of those things where you have a bunch of evidence and you have to, you know, find the best hypothesis and explanation to explain that evidence, and not all of them will be the best fit, and but there
Yeah.
seems to be many that could be a slightly good fit, and so
Yeah.
you just have to figure out what is the, you know, the best one. And
But haven't
nobody knows what the right answer is, so I'm kind of more okay with this than I thought I would be. We could be building dry stone walls on the moon
really?
very soon.
Why? How?
So
I
if
feel
you
like
think
very
about,
soon is doing a lot
very,
of work.
I mean, that's very soon in an astrophysicist's perspective. In the next 100 or so years.
Yeah.
So say if you want to build a moon base, you're going to need to build, you know, a launch pad of some form. So you're going to need to build some sort of wall to protect your moon base from your launch pad.
And all you have to work with is lunar regolith.
All you have to work with is lunar regolith, exactly that. Because otherwise you're having to start shipping rocks to the moon, which is very heavy and very
Castle there.
expensive.
That does sound expensive.
So you work with what you've got. And so if you've got lunar regolith and you've no way to make a mortar, because water is obviously very in short supply because you need it to, it's going to be a dry stone wall.
How I'm reading what you're saying is that actually the biggest and new market for me is astronauts.
It's the moon, you know?
You know that, what was it? Armageddon.
Armageddon,
They
yeah.
get the oil drillers up
Yes.
there to...
You can be the new. I was going to say Bruce Willis, but maybe Steve Buscemi.
At which point, the batteries on the cameras started to expire. Like I said, we were mostly just piling up rocks because dry stone walling is a slow process. Even the best, or maybe the fastest, professional dry stone waller won't get more than a few square meters done in a whole day. So, with 2 piles of rocks to judge, it was time for Dave's professional opinion. Which one of us was the more promising dry stone waller?
You've listened to what I've said in terms of getting pinning and the packing and then the connectivity. You've paid good attention to that. I think they both look fine. I would call them rustic. I think rustic is a nice word, isn't it? You know, and certainly I'm pleased.
All I was going for was aesthetic, you know, and I was going for a rustic aesthetic.
I was going for something that didn't fall over. So
What I'm also loving is that you've both been really thoughtful for the ecology. So that you've got plenty of space for mice and things to get in.
Yeah, I just realised that I have not looked at this side of the wall once.
Right,
I
well,
haven't walked round
Come and
here.
have a look.
Oh,
But that's probably better than that side, isn't it?
that side's great. I
Is that
think.
better? Great, did you say great?
Okay, let's not go that far.
It's not bad.
All
but
right.
This is marginally better in
All right.
terms of the structure. So I would say, if we have to say, I would say this is marginally better.
Good game. I really want to do a happy dance, but I'm not going to.
If you'd like to see the next episode of this series right now, you can do that on Nebula, but also, very soon, you'll be able to see me on Jetlag the Game.
Hey!
When does it premiere?
I'm almost certain it's August 19th.
Wednesday, August the 19th. I am on the new season. What's it called?
Japanorama, because we go see all of Japan.
All of Japan.
Almost.
From the southernmost to the northernmost train station.
That's right.
What else is available with your Nebula subscription?
Well, there's the Layover podcast.
There is.
There's also like a bajillion other really, really good shows.
Yep. Which will be covered with B-roll right now as I tell you.
Look at those.
As I tell you that Nebula subscriptions are currently 50% off.
Damn.
That is $30 for that first year. It's a very good deal. No, $30 for the whole year. What? I know.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
I wasn't even pointing the microphone at you for that. It's going to sound terrible. QR codes on screen, links in the description. Thank you, folks. It was a pleasure to be on the season.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Next time, or right now on Nebula, I visit an attraction that is legally required to get me a little bit wet.